Welcome back to Raleigh, North Carolina, and our Fox News Town Hall with Democratic presidential candidate Senator Amy Klobuchar.
Senator, we were just talking about foreign policy. I want to wrap up that topic on Iran. You expressed great concerns about the U.S. killing Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general, at the time. You feared that the president's actions might actually draw the U.S. into a war. Some Democrats went further. They said it could be World War III. You know, now things are pretty quiet from Iran from after that killing. So does that mean that the killing of Soleimani and that strike sent an effective message?
My concern is we had a briefing on this, and I think you saw some Republican senators coming out of there saying that they were very disturbed by what they heard. Of course, I can't reveal all this of what was said, but the concern was that was there really an imminent threat? And we heard publicly all kinds of things about attacks on embassy, and then that was pulled back. And I think just from a foreign policy standpoint, that you've got to follow the law. And that is really important for our country as a beacon of democracy around the world. The second piece of it is what's happening in Iraq right now. They still have, it's not a settled situation. They now have an interim, they have the president in there, but it has been a very difficult thing. So that was one of our concerns.
So a good or bad thing that Soleimani was killed?
But if we could just step back.
Good or bad?
I don't like how it was handled, but he is a very, very bad guy. And it's good he's not around anymore. But the question is, what does this mean for our policy going forward? The one last thing I'd add is that there was a recent report come out from our own government with concerns about ISIS coming up again. Part of that is Syria, with the president's decision that I did not agree with to withdraw 150 troops from the border with Syria. And part of that may be what's happening in Iraq. But that is the last thing that we want to have happen.
All right, let's hear from Suzanne, a Democrat who supports President Trump about on the abortion issue. Suzanne?
Hi, I am a Democrat who cares about all life, including the unborn. There are 21 million Democratic voters like me who believe in protection for unborn children. Do you think the Democratic Party should allow pro-life candidates to run for office? And if so, what steps would you take to include pro-life Democrats in the party?
Okay, so first of all, I want to make clear I am strongly pro-choice. I think you know that. I always have been. And I think that one of the reasons that I'm able to get support from a lot of people is I'm really honest about my positions. And you don't agree with me on that. I know that. But you may agree with me on other things. So just as I think there's a place in our party for pro-life Democrats, there's also a place in my support for pro-choice Republicans. So I think you just can't, you look at a candidate and you make a decision even though you don't agree with them on every single thing. And yes, there are pro-life elected officials in the Democratic Party, and that's okay. Senator, but the point is that I will be a pro-choice president, and I want you to know that when you make a decision about who you're voting for.
Senator, let me ask
and
you.
that is, I feel very strongly about that, and I disagree with the president about defunding Planned Parenthood and some of the other decisions that he's made.
I just want to ask you a follow-up question on that, because there was news on this in the Senate this week. Two abortion bills went through, and one of them, Senate Democrats blocked a bill that would ban all abortion after 20 weeks when a woman is approximately nearly 5 months pregnant. You weren't there for that vote. So would you have voted to ban abortion after 20 weeks of pregnancy?
Well, I would have voted with the Democrats on that because I think Roe v. Wade is now the law of the land. And a lot of these bills are attempts to change that. And I would, if I was president, I would work with Congress to actually try to codify Roe v. Wade into law.
So at what point do you believe that life begins? If 20 weeks, post 20 weeks is acceptable, at what point do you think life begins?
Again, I follow Roe v. Wade. And what Roe v. Wade allows for is the protection of a woman's decision to make a decision about her own life. And then, of course, by the third trimester, there's some limits on it.
I mean, a lot of moderate Republicans and Democrats think that that's a very moderate thing to vote for, post 20 weeks. Only North Korea and China and a few other countries allow what we allow here with regard to
again, the Roe v. Wade decision has some limitations as well, and I've supported Roe v. Wade, and I think the majority, vast majority of Americans support Roe v. Wade. Over 75% of Americans support that, 75% of Americans, somewhere like that. And over 90% of Americans support the right to contraception. And this president has been messing around with that. You look at the Alabama law that people that he had supported that went into place that would put a doctor in prison for performing abortions. And I just think that's wrong.
We talked about it earlier. Senator Warren on the debate stage criticized your health care plan. We talked about the Post-it note, and you pushed back
You just
against
keep
that.
bringing it up.
No, hold on. But on that same website,
Yeah.
you do have a lengthy Native American policy section, actually longer than the health care section on the website. This week, hundreds of Native Americans wrote a letter to Senator Warren saying that she should renounce her claims to Native American ancestry. Should she?
I think that she has explained this issue many times. And to me, what's more important is what are we going to do for American going forward and Native Americans going forward.
You're obviously running
if I could
against her.
explain,
Sure.
I actually come from a state with many tribes, and I am proud of the work I've done with our Native American communities. Our lieutenant governor in the state of Minnesota is the highest ranking Native American in state office. She is, her name's Peggy Flanagan. She's supporting me, and we have put together a good plan when it comes to Native American health care and the work that needs to be done for sovereignty and the work that needs to be done economically. And I'm just focused on that. If you've seen on the debate stage, Brett, I am not picking fights except for the clear difference between me and Senator Sanders and Senator Warren when it comes to policy.
You also run on authenticity. And you say that you're an authentic candidate, and that's why you want to be president.
I'm up here.
I'm just saying you have to differentiate.
Okay.
That's just not an issue you're going to go down.
I would be glad to have a policy debate, especially with President Trump, who I think is the one that has been throwing around names and calling her names, but also Native American names. I don't like it. It's not the kind of president I'm going to be, and I think a new president like myself will bring people together, and that's what we should be doing.
Well, Senator, we will follow you all along the campaign trail. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching our Fox News Town Hall with Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar.